A night where all the stars have aligned. Today, Thursday, November 1st, 2018, I'm reporting live from the Washington Hilton Hotel for the 29th annual Fight Night DC. That's right, all the best fighters in boxing and UFC converge right here on Washington, DC for a great cause, Fight for Children. That's right, everyone here tonight, all the big stars, the politicians, people from government and philanthropy are all here to help our youth, the at-risk kids of the nation. Tonight's event has raised over $65 million since its inception, and guess what? We're not stopping there. We hope to continue to raise more. Tonight's event helps groups like the Washington Tennis and Education Foundation, Beacon House DC, just to name a few. You'll have to stay tuned for some very special interviews from some very special guests. This is Listen In with K&N, presented by Fox Sports Radio, 96.9 FM and 1340 AM. I'm your host, Kelsey Nicole Nelson.
Stand to the left, stand to the right. Lil' mama, she keep looking at me. I'ma knock out like Fight Night. Hit it with the left, hit it with the right. I'ma knock the out like Fight Night. Hit it with the left, hit it with the right. I'ma knock the out like Fight Night.
Here at Fight Night DC with Mr. Donovan Carter of the HBO hit show Ballers. Let me just ask you tonight, what has been your favorite part this far?
My favorite part is I got to see my mom yesterday, so that's cool. And then seeing my castmates, it's always nice to see them. My schedule's so busy, so it's nice to get together, hang out, and come here. Fight Night's an amazing time. Good thing for the kids and bringing awareness to the foundation. And yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, and you said you saw your mom yesterday. So let me ask you, is your mom from this area?
Yeah. My mom's from. She's from Clarksburg, Maryland.
Oh my gosh, stop. Yeah. So I went to Clarksburg High School.
Okay, she went to Damascus.
So we're rivals. All right, so the interview has to end. No, I'm just small world from Clarksburg. Yeah, my little sister goes to Clarksburg High School now. Okay. Let me ask you, on the hit show, you guys play, obviously, football players.
Yes.
Are you a football fan?
Yeah, big football fan. Played when I was a kid, played in college. Still fantasy league, so still fan today.
Let me ask you, with all of the stuff surrounding the NFL and former NFL quarterback Colin Kaepernick, how do you hope the NFL proceeds with players possibly taking stances on anything that they feel very passionate about?
I think just be open-minded. Just listen to what these guys got to say. I mean, they putting their body, their lives at the line, and I think NFL should just back them up, support them if that's something they believe in, and I think they should listen to it because they're saying some good things, man. Eric Reed and Colin Kaepernick and Malcolm Jenkins, so they're doing a good job.
Nice. And anybody who has not watched the show Ballers, what would you say to them out there to make sure that they watch and tune in to the next season?
First, I'll say watch it. We got season 5, so obviously it's a decent show. We got The Rock. We got Mark Wahlberg. If you love Entourage, this is the new Entourage with football players. And it's only 30 minutes, no commercials. And I'm in it, so, support.
Nothing else.
So, yeah, support your boy. I was born in D.C., so, support DMV.
Nice. Let me ask you, last but not least, how does it feel to be back then in the nation's capital?
It's amazing. I love to come back here, get to see my mom, get to come to Fight Night.
Kelsey Nicole Nelson back here on the red carpet with a face you will all know very well if you don't know already. November 21st is when Creed 2 hits the theaters. How excited are you, Florian, for everyone to see this next version of Creed?
Well, I'm very excited because we put a lot of work in it, and I mean, there's so much hard work and dedication that we put into the movie, and now finally is the moment that you people and the audience is going to see it. So I'm looking forward to it, yeah.
Tell me, what was training like for your character?
Well, actually, it was a lot of physical training, as you can imagine. I mean, we did like 5 hours per day, hitting the gym, doing the boxing choreography and all that stuff. But it was also it was mentally exhausting because once you have to connect to the role, my character is very deep and dark, so that was also pretty exhausting. Yeah.
And let me ask you, so some people are sometimes skeptical of sequels. Why should we go out to theaters and see Creed 2? What makes it different from the first one, and how is it going to be just as exciting?
Well, I think the first Creed was more like an origin story. So you had not a real villain in that movie, and it was more about Creed, getting to know Creed a little bit more. Yeah. Now the Dragos are coming back, and we all know Ivan Drago is one of the most iconic characters from this franchise. And I don't want to give too much away now.
We don't mind.
I bet. But I promise you a lot of surprises, a lot of drama, and a lot of chills.
Perfect. And last but not least, what brought you out tonight to this event? What are you most looking forward to?
Well, I'm a huge boxing fan. So I love watching fights, and I love to attend fight nights. So this is basically it, seeing some good fights, and yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. November 21st, Creed 2. Look out for him.
You gotta see it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Here with Chris Lofton from the HBO hit show Ballers. Let me first ask you, what brought you out to this great event tonight?
Oh man, I love Fight Night. This is an annual thing for me, and I'm good friends with artists and athletes. My boy Steve runs Artists and Athletes, man. So I'm here every year. This is a great cause, and it's just dope, man. You know?
You kind of have a DC accent. Are you from this area or from somewhere else?
Nah, I'm from Chicago. I'm from Chicago. I got DC accent?
Yes, I heard DC.
Yeah? What I say, that kind of sounded DC?
Everything. I just because I'm from this area.
I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. People be telling me I'm country, and that's crazy. I live in L.A., and L.A. people say I'm country, but then when I go back home to Chicago, they say, you've been in L.A. too long. You talk like an L.A. dude.
They don't want to take you back.
Yeah, it's crazy. But that's dope. You say I sound like that? I'll take it.
So let me ask you, what do we have to look forward to for this next season of Ballers?
Oh man, it's gonna be a surprise to me too. I don't know. I don't know yet. We don't start back filming until April, so the scripts probably won't come out to at least February, Marchish. So like, we gonna guess together. I hope it's gonna be a lot of stuff. That's why I just told one of these dudes over here, I'm hoping that the Rams win the Super Bowl in real life. So on the show, it can be some fun little Super Bowl parties with me and my character. We can have some fun, It'll be dope.
So tell us a little bit more about your character.
Well, I play Kassan Teague. I play running back. I just signed to the Los Angeles Rams on the show. Man, and I'm just kind of like the wild card, flair kind of dude. I guess I'm the hood football player. I'm the hood one. It's all good though. Somebody got to do it.
Somebody has to do it. Well, we are looking forward to Ballers. Last but not least, let me ask you, what has been your favorite part of tonight thus far? I know you just started, but favorite part of tonight just far?
My favorite part of tonight thus far is just having this many people from different backgrounds and different walks of life in the same room, and they all are in a position of power in some way, you know what I'm saying? Whatever their lane is, everybody does something, and it's dope when everybody can all be in one room and you can kind of rub elbows and do what you got to do,
Last but not least, Cleveland sports. Are you a Cleveland sports fan?
No.
Or Chicago sports fan, I should say.
Yeah. The Bulls, we just gonna tank the season, and then hopefully get Zion. The Bears, we looking okay. We still got some work to do. I'm still upset that they drafted Mitch. We should have got Deshaun Watson when we had to pick. We just chose not to get the dude who won the national championship and got a quarterback from Duke.
a little hatred there.
We ain't gonna talk about that.
Speaking of Chicago, the other night, Derrick Rose, of course, is now.
That's my boy. Shout out to Pooh. Shout out to Elena. Them all my people. Yeah, shout out to Pooh. Shout out to Pooh. Little PJ, I see you.
Love it. Thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you inside.
Yes, sir.
Kelsey Nicole Nelson back here on the red carpet with former Cleveland Cavaliers general manager, Mr. David Griffin. David, how are you tonight?
Very well, thank you.
Let me first ask you, what brought you out to Fight Night DC this year?
Well, partially because we have a good friend who helps put the event on, and partially because it's a cause that we care a great deal about. My wife Meredith and I were pretty actively and remain pretty actively involved in Cleveland Clinic Children's. So any causes of this type matter to us a great deal.
Yeah, and over $65 million has been raised from this event alone for children. I mean, how does that make you feel?
It's amazing. No, it's incredible, and it's our first time here. And I know Raul Fernandez being the chairman of the event, I'm sure they don't see any bounds to this, so I think it's just going to continue to grow.
Nice. And let me just ask you, I have to ask you a basketball question, of course, from your ties in Cleveland. LeBron in the Lakers uniform, are you still getting used to it?
No, to be honest with you, it's not that difficult for me to see. It's really not. I think because that uniform has been on so many great players, you get accustomed to seeing it on the greats. What I think is going to be interesting is the Western Conference is so deep and so competitive. For him to not make a finals, that would take some getting used to, and that's a real possibility in the West this year.
Let me just ask you, people have been hard on Cleveland since LeBron left. They're saying that the team isn't clicking, that they don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to even make it in the East? Let me ask you, what would you say to the Cleveland fans about how Cleveland can possibly turn the season around?
Well, I think stay the course for one thing. I think the coaching change they've made, Larry Drew is going to be a voice that maybe the young kids connect to a little bit. What happened with Ty Lue, he's the only coach in the world that could have taken over in the middle of a year and won a championship, but that's because he's a veteran voice. He's a veteran player's voice. And I think the young kids, culturally, they just needed a different voice. So I think it's an opportunity for Kobe Altman and his staff to sort of right the ship a little bit. And they've got a lot of good young talent. They just need to let it take some time to gel.
Nice. And One more question for you. A lot of people are still asking questions. If LeBron can really gel with Lonzo Ball's dad, LeVar Ball, do you think he'll be a problem with the Lakers, or do you think LeBron is able to get past that?
No, I don't think it'll be an issue at all. Nobody ignores the noise better than LeBron, and nobody teaches young players to ignore the noise better. So I don't think LeVar will ever be an issue there.
And last question, what did you think about the opening of LeBron's new school in Akron? How will that forever change the Akron landscape?
Well, I hope that no matter what happens, he's always going to be in the conversation of the greatest player of all time. His legacy should really be defined by that. Because if you judge him by his works off the court, this is clearly the greatest of all time.
Perfect. Thank you so much, David, for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you inside. Back on the red carpet with Miss Ava Knight, the lovely Miss Ava Knight, a pro champion boxer. Let me just ask you, for women in the sport, how do you think it's continuing to rise?
It's doing great. Lately, we've seen a lot of women do great things on sports and on TV, so it's good to see that. I'm coming from a generation that started with the lower end, so it's good to see a big change.
And what exactly brought you out tonight?
I fought on this card actually about 5 years ago, so it's great to come back and be able to support the kids, because now they're doing donations for children in low income and amateur boxing programs, and that's where it all starts. That's where everybody comes up from, so I'm excited about that.
And just one last question for you. How do you hope the future of boxing continues to grow in this country?
I want boxing to still remain a sport that anyone can do, everyone can do, from any walks of life, and just be a sport that brings people together. We all come for a fight, but at the end of the day, we all celebrate unity, and that's the love for the fight game.
Perfect, beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. Back on the red carpet with actor Carl McDowell from Ballers, HBO's hit show. Let me ask you, how have you felt about the success of the show thus far?
I love it. Without that show, there's no Carl. There's no TTD. So I love the success. I hope it keeps going.
Nice. Tell me a little bit more about your character on the show.
TTD is the stoner with the T-shirts. He just makes stuff happen. He gets everything done, whatever needs to be done. And if Ricky's not being right, he tries to get him right, if he can.
Let me ask you, what message do you hope viewers get from the show overall?
I don't know, man.
It's relating to the real life struggles, right, that players go through. So are you hoping they see maybe that they're human?
We poke fun at them, but it's human beings being human beings, and we hope that they can see how we poke fun at them, and they can straighten up a little bit.
Nice. And last but not least, tell me, what brought you out tonight?
Fight Night DC, man. Everybody's here for Fight Night. It's a good time. Everybody's dressed up to the nines and gonna watch some fights and have some fun.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you. Back on the red carpet with Stephen Caple Jr. November 21st, the movie comes out. Let me ask you a little bit. Directing this movie, what was that experience like?
It was great. To be part of such a big franchise and work with a great crew, Mike B, Tessa Thompson, Florian, who's here on the red carpet, bringing back the Dragos. You kind of go down this old nostalgic feel if you grew up with the series like I did, and then it was just fun to put my own thing on it. So yeah, I'm excited for you guys to check it out.
Yeah. And let me just ask you, so this will be a sequel to the first one.
Yeah.
Some people are scared of sequels, I have to be quite honest with you.
I'm terrified. I'm terrified.
So let me ask you, how will this one be different, and what is going to get people out into the theaters, in your opinion?
Well, one, you got the Drago, so there's a big element. Things are bigger this time, but we have a lot more at stake. So I think that's a big difference from Creed 1. And then the relationship. We really dive into the relationships with Rocky. We really dive into the relationship between Michael B. and Tessa. So I think people are really going to see a genuine love story, an honest story, and I'm excited for people to check it out.
And let's talk about your background. What first got you into directing?
I was directing since I was a kid, to be honest, man. I always had a camera in my hand. Then I went to USC Film School, made a few shorts, and then I made my first feature, The Land, which is about Cleveland, Ohio, my hometown. But I've always been around. I've done a lot. So it's just it's a passion for it, just love storytelling, and now to have the opportunity to do it and work with people of color behind the scenes, it's been a great experience.
That was my next question. How do we get more people of color into the behind the scenes, directing, technical aspects, stuff like that? How do we help little black and brown girls and boys get to see their dreams behind the film?
No, that's a great question. I think it's about finding your group, finding your people that you want to collaborate with, that one you see eye to eye on a vision sense, and we're trying to put something together, and then beyond that, create something great that speaks to the people. But creating more content for people like us is always helpful, so that's what we're here for.
Perfect. And last but not least, Creed 2 meets Fight Night DC. Let me ask you, what specifically brought you out tonight, and what do you hope to gain from tonight's experience?
I'm trying to see the fights.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with
the
that.
charity event has been huge. It's been going on for quite a while, and I knew a lot about the fight night just growing up, but also the actual fight night, video game fight night, all kind of stuff. So just to be a part of this has been crazy.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you inside. Perfect. Thank you so much. The stars continue to shine as now on the red carpet, I'm joined by Mr. Ray Mancini. Ray, what continues to bring you out to this great event each and every year?
Again, the fight night for children, the name itself, fighting for the children. You know, children are everything. It's one of the causes dear to my heart. You know, I try to do it for children, the elderly, and for vets.
Yeah.
Those are three main things that I'm interested in. Three main topics that are close to my heart. So, coming here almost 30 years now. I missed a few years, but not many. Is one of the events that I look forward to every year.
Nice. 30 years. That's true commitment. Very true commitment. Let me just ask you, I know I have to ask you a boxing question. Let me ask you, what do you think about the future of boxing? Is it in good hands?
Oh yeah, there's always going to be good fighters. You know, a lot of talented guys, and it's always going to be exciting fights. But what I say is when they talk about the greatness, and talking about all-time greats, it's hard to talk about greatness in the era of 12 rounds. Any 10-round fighter go 12. Very few go 15. 15 changed the course of history, but it's not their fault. So, yeah, boxing is going to good hands. It's always going to thrive and survive. You know what I mean? It's always going to do well, and a lot of good fighters on the way up. I'm a fight fan, so I'm excited to see what the next few years hold.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ray, for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Kelsey Nicole Nelson here on the red carpet at the 29th annual Fight Night for DC with heavyweight boxing champion Earnie Shavers. I see the smile. How do you feel to come back to DC and just watch some great talent in the UFC realm rising up?
Yeah, I enjoy coming to watch UFC every year. I mean, a lot of nice people, and she gets a lot more fight fans, so it's great. Look forward to it.
And one more question for you before we let you go. I mean, what brings you out each and every year to make sure that these disadvantaged youth in our nation's capital get the resources that they need?
Well, you know, I like to say, I got a lot of fans all over. I want people to know I'm still kicking. You know?
And live and well, I'm
yeah.
still scared.
And I enjoy it. I look forward to it every year.
Yeah, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you inside.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Back on the red carpet with former heavyweight champion Buster Douglas. Buster, how does it feel to come out tonight for Fight Night DC?
I've been coming here for quite a while now, and I always look forward to it. It's a great event. Love helping out.
What's your favorite part of the event each year?
Really, it's all. I enjoy it all.
Yeah.
You know, mostly the food.
Mostly the food. It's not a bad answer. Not a bad. And let me ask you, with the current state of boxing right now, what are you most looking forward to with the Floyd Mayweathers of the world and other big heavyweight champions?
Well, it's a 147-pound division.
Yeah.
All those champions are getting together to make one undisputed champion, and I think every fight is going to be an exciting fight. I look forward to seeing who's going to end up on the top once the dust clears.
Nice. Once the dust clears, I know sometimes you wish you were back, don't you?
No. I enjoy watching on the sidelines now, being encouraging.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Buster. We look forward to seeing you inside.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
You too. Thanks so much. The one and only Mr. Gerry Cooney joining me on the red carpet. Jerry, what brought you out tonight?
That's great. You know, I get here every year because it's a great opportunity for us guys to reach out and say hello to each other, and also to be with the kids, raise money and awareness for kids that are struggling a little bit. And I was one of those kids. I grew up in a rough household, had to find my own way. So this helps the kids maybe a little less stressful, you know?
Yeah, and it helps. And I think a lot of times we think of Washington, D.C., a lot of people see how high the property values are and everything like that, but we forget about the kids that still need help, and you talked about it. So to anyone out there, why would you say we need to continue to help the youth of this country?
Well, you know, in society today, life is so difficult. Parents are working 2 or 3 jobs. Kids need help. They get lost out in the street somewhere, and then they get lost for good. So we need to keep communicating to them about love and different options and different plans to make it better for them.
And since this event started back in 1990, over $65 million, I know, a long time ago, over $65 million has been raised for this event. Why is it so important that we continue to raise this much money for these kids?
Because kids need those programs. They need great programs to give them options and different ideas to do with their lives, to bring out the love inside themselves. And so it's all good.
I love it. And one more question for you. The future of boxing, where do you see it?
Boxing is great. We got middleweights, light heavyweight, cruiserweights, welterweights. They're all so good. So we dropped off for a while, but since it's back, we got the Zone, ESPN Plus, these great promoters putting on great fights. We're going to see some good fights this year.
Nice. We still miss you in the ring, but we'll take them. Thanks so much. Back on the red carpet where we're now switching to the football stars. John.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you tonight?
Good.
Good. What brought you out tonight?
Well, I enjoy this event.
Yeah.
It's a great event. Fight for Children is giving back to the community. And as a football player, as an athlete, we want to lend our support to the boxing industry. And Keith Gordon is a good friend of mine, and we want to support everything that he's doing with Fight for Children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure every Sunday you probably look back and sometimes want to get back on that football field. Back on the red carpet with a name and face those in Washington should know very, very well, Mr. Rick Doc Walker. Rick, thank you for joining us. And let me ask you first, what continues to bring you out each and every year to Fight Night DC?
Well, the money they make, $65 million since 1990. And it goes to a number of different facilities to help young people, a lot in the District of Columbia. You get to have a great evening. You get to smoke indoors, see people all dressed up and dolled up, and I love the Black Tie Affair.
Yeah. And we're going to give you some time to pronounce your outfit. Who are you dressed up?
I'm just tucked up and my Nikes on. That's the whole key. Hogs Night Out, which we started back in the day, we wore tuxedos and we wore tennis shoes.
Yeah.
And so I'm sporting my Nikes, and we're having a great time.
Back on the red carpet with some faces and names that you will all know very, very well, and soon, if you don't know already, with twin Peanut and Quincy. Let me just ask you guys, how excited are you for Fight Night DC tonight? I'll start with you.
I'm pretty ready for it. I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah, just kind of excited?
Yeah, I'm a lot excited for it.
Tell me a little bit more about the movie that you guys are starring in.
Oh, you said what?
The movie you're starring in. Tell us a little bit more to get us excited.
When we was making the movie, it was exciting to just be around all the people that was filming us and just being around our teammates.
Yeah. And so are you guys real life boxers as well, or?
Of course we're real life boxers.
So we can look forward to seeing you guys in the ring?
Yep.
Nice. All right, give us a little bit more about yourselves. Where are you guys from? What do you guys like to do? Start with you.
I'm from Southeast DC, Washington DC.
Nice.
And,
Yes, with pride.
Yeah. And I basically been fighting since I was 8 years old, and I'm still doing it. I'm still pushing myself. And during the movie, it was difficult. It was hard because I wasn't prepared for it. But now I'm very comfortable seeing new faces, and I'm happy, excited.
Very cool. And what about you? Where are you from?
Southeast DC also.
All right. And tell me a little bit more about yourself. How did you even get into the ring in the first place?
I actually, coming up, I was a very angry, child. I had a lot of emotions in me, so I was actually playing baseball, and I happened to walk past a boxing gym, and I kind of just want to get into it, so I got into it. And my first time in the ring, I fell in love with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. And last but not least, tell me a little bit about your story, and how did you first find boxing?
I found boxing. I was just walking to a recreation center, and I just went past the gym, and me and my friend, we were just we wanted to start boxing. And then me and my friend, we started, but he left, and so I just kept going because I loved it.
Perfect. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We look forward to seeing you guys inside. Back on the red carpet with a name and face that we know very well here in Washington, D.C., Mr. Gerry Clark. Gerry, let me ask you, what's your favorite part about Fight Night DC each year?
First of all, the cause itself. Fight for Children, Keith Gordon, they do such a great job of taking care of DC youths, making sure that those impoverished neighborhoods always find the cream that rise to the top. It's just a great cause, and they do a great job. And Fight Night's just a great event. There's nobody who comes to Fight Night who does not get addicted to coming to Fight Night each and every year thereafter. So it's a great cause. You have a lot of fun on Fight Night. It's one time that you actually get to enjoy yourself and also give to a great cause as well.
Over $65 million has been raised from this event alone. How does that make you feel just knowing that we just continue to support our youth here in the nation's capital and beyond?
It's just unbelievable. Really, when Keith came on board, it was always a phenomenal organization from the day one that it started. But Keith does a special little magic that comes out. I won't be surprised tonight if we don't do $6.2 million. I would be surprised if we did.
Nice. And I continue to see that. You said last year I got addicted. I'm back again this year. Get to interview you. It's all a great